The conversation that goes on inside your brain, the loop that never stops, the chatter that never ceases to exist, that is called your self-talk. And it is hands down the most important and influential conversation you will ever have. Like, even think of the most important political figure in history, or the woman you look up to the most, or any famous person in history that you would love to sit down and have a conversation with. It doesn't matter. The one inside your head is more important and more influential than any of those conversations, and it's not even close. With today's video, I'm continuing to share my June self-care summer live trainings from inside my Fit by Bit health coaching membership. Before I do though, if you are new here, welcome. I'm Coach Mack, the founding health coach of Running with Bacon, where I help women feel like themselves again via fitness, one small step at a time. And thank you for being here. Thank you for watching. If you find this video helpful, make sure and give it a like, subscribe to my channel, and hit the bell to be notified so you don't miss a single video. With an understanding of how important and influential your self-talk is, I want you to think about the things that you have said to yourself. Likely they've been over and over, but think of the things that you've said to yourself that you would never in a million years say to your friend. And you would never say them because they are so mean, degrading, down-putting, and things that you just couldn't bring yourself to vocalize out loud. Yet somehow we have these thoughts about ourselves on loop. How crazy does that sound? A perfect example of this, being that it's June and summertime, might be when you were trying on swimsuits at the store and maybe it doesn't look quite right the way that you were wanting to or the way that you were hoping that it would. And the first thing that you assume is that there's something wrong with your body. Maybe it's your love handles, your muffin top, your legs are too big, your boobs are too small. Whatever the thing is, it's something about your body. Sound familiar? Unfortunately, for most women, it is. But what about saying, this swimsuit sucks? It just doesn't fit me well. Why can't we start talking like that to ourselves? Am I right? There's a bajillion swimsuits out there. Not every single one is going to fit our body, but for some reason in our mind, that ongoing conversation, we have let it tell us that there's something wrong with us. And here's what's happening. We've kind of been conditioned. It might have been something that someone said to us 25 years ago about our body, or something we were eating, or the way that we looked, or something, and it stuck with us. And here we are 2.5 decades later, that thought is still on loop. And here's why. Because our brain actually has fast track thoughts. So it does this thing called myelination. And what that means is just that if you imagine your track from brain cell to brain cell like a highway. So a regular highway is just our normal interactions between brain cells. However, when our brain wants to fast track it, it myelinates it, just basically puts this like coating on it, so it fast tracks it, and it becomes like the Autobahn. So then when we need these thoughts to draw upon, we have these ones that are extra fast to come to our brain, and it's just like a loop on repeat down the Autobahn. These thoughts come so fast that sometimes we don't even notice it. And this is what happens when we are listening to ourselves, when we are listening to our thoughts, to that inner dialogue. We are listening to those Autobahn thoughts on repeat, on loop, whether they're good or bad. But in this case, of course, I'm talking about our bad thoughts. But here's the thing, we can change it. Full disclosure, it takes some effort, but we can change it. And here's how. We have to start talking to ourselves rather than listening to ourselves. That may be things like affirmations, telling ourselves things, but being brutally honest about them too. You don't want to go lying to yourself thinking things are all sunshine and rainbows when they're really not. But you can still catch those thoughts, those negative self-talk thoughts that are on that Autobahn highway, and you can then replace it with a different thought. For example, many of the women that I work with are just off of having a baby, maybe even 2, maybe even 3. But they have had a baby within the past few years, and most of them still talk about wanting to lose some baby weight. And so a perfect example of some of these thought processes that are on loop on that Autobahn highway are, why are you eating that? I still have baby weight to lose. Why didn't you exercise? You still have baby weight to lose. Whose mom bod is this looking at me in the mirror? All of these thoughts are thoughts that have been expressed to me from women that are on repeat, and it feels like it's just this vicious cycle. Instead of listening to those thoughts, what we can do instead is notice that we have those thoughts and then choose to replace it with a different thought. Again, not a lie, because then clearly it's not going to be effective. You can't lie to yourself. So not a lie, but a real, genuine affirmation of where you are and what's going on. So rather than, why did you eat that? You have weight to lose. It can be something like, I grew a human and my body is not what I want it to be yet, but I'm working on it. So much nicer than bitchy, bratty, why did you eat that? Right? Because it's totally honest. You grew a freaking human. Be grateful for that. Your body is amazing that it did that. But you're allowed to have that gratitude and that appreciation and still want to improve it. And so by replacing that Autobahn thought with this thought, you have to interrupt it. And you can even say, you can catch the thought and say, oh, Coach Mack said, I need to replace my thought, and then pick a thought and replace it. Eventually that process will keep speeding up, and you will skip the Coach Mack says part, and you will skip the what do I want to replace it with part. And eventually that Autobahn negative self-talk thought will become replaced with your new one. And it will then be an Autobahn myelinated thought that comes to mind every time you have a thought like that. Rather than a negative one, it will be a positive one. So anytime that little inkling of negativity starts in your mind, you can be like, nope, right there it is. Good thought, positive thought, self-talk. The most important and influential conversation you will ever have is the one that you have with yourself. And if it is a constant barrage of negativity, of course, nothing's changing, because we change best when we feel good, not when we feel bad. Keep reminding yourself that you are a work in progress, as we all are. And don't let those negative Autobahn thoughts run rampant in your mind. Stop listening to yourself and start talking to yourself. And to continue your work in progress, I have just the thing to build momentum and the confidence to keep going. Join my Fit in 5 5-minute challenge. I will put a link in the description box. It is only 5 minutes for 5 days in a row, and you can totally do that. And it is a fantastic time to practice those positive self-thoughts, getting those on repeat. Sign up again in the description below, and I will see you in the next one.